Hi, Ben. Welcome to Dubai Watch Week's Tête-à-Tête.
Hi, nice to see you again.
I am not Sarah Bahman, as you may have gathered. And hence, this interview will be nothing like the ones with Sarah Bahman.
I can say that I'm very happy to see you.
Very diplomatic. We'll see if we can work on that a little bit. Let's start up with a softball question.
Yeah.
NORQAIN, my life, my way. Easier to live, or have you faced your moments in trying to live by that motto?
I think, it's always a good reminder.
Okay. Can you tell us about a moment where it's been needed as a reminder?
I think it's been very needed very often throughout the 8-year journey with NORQAIN. When you have your doubts and sometimes you just don't have the support, that's a tough moment when maybe not everybody agrees on a vision, that you say, okay, but now again, one of those moments, my life, my way.
Okay. If someone was experiencing NORQAIN today, 8 years down the line for the first time, what do you think that would surprise them about how the brand has evolved? And what do you think would surprise them hasn't evolved?
I think they would be surprised, the COVID situation, I think for us was a huge accelerator. It was a moment when I went back into quickly looking at what happened in the first 2 years, realizing that we had cool products, but not products that completely differentiated in the market. And that if COVID would treat us in a way that we would survive it, which I was very, very, worried about, because at that time you don't know what it's going to bring. I would want to be the best version of the NORQAIN brand. And I think that was really then the moment we went full on innovation. And I think that would surprise people who maybe saw us in 2018 to see now that we're launching X-Lite products, 45 grams, and the Wild One Chrono, and not just reanimating cases, but actually developing watches. I think that could be a surprise.
Yeah, so would you say COVID inadvertently made you a bolder risk taker or accelerated the vision that you probably set out with?
Yeah, I think, we said before, my life, my way is a good motivation, but it also, the big decision was to launch a watch brand, right?
Sure.
And that was so big and there was so much challenges. And I think on the way, maybe I lost a bit my courage in product. There's a lot of people give you their opinion on many, media retailers. Yeah, it should be 39, it should be 41. So at the end, you get so much inputs. It's very difficult to not be, somewhere in a space where you say, okay, change a little bit. And I think COVID, what happened there was really, my life, my way was reinforced. Of course, also John Cole Beaver, who then told me, Ben, you need to go with your gut feeling because COVID will be a very bad situation. So either you come out stronger or it will be a very bad situation for your brand.
Sure, never someone who's short of an opinion, Mr. Beaver. So definitely someone good to have in your corner.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's talk about misconceptions. What is the one misconception that you think exists to this day about NORQAIN, and how would you set that right?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's still exciting for me to travel and to go to events because sometimes I have really, discussions. Yeah, but you only do ETA and Selita movements. And then we explain what we've been doing the last years and they're like, oh, wow. And where did you get the movement? And where did you do the flyback chrono? And where did you get the Kennedy? And I think it's also normal because when you launch a brand, that's a first impression. There's a very hard saying that said sometimes we don't get a second first impression. I believe we were lucky through the slowdown of COVID.
Sure.
The Wild One was like a rebirth of NORQAIN and really showing that we're capable also of innovating and doing products that seriously will challenge the existing, watch market.
So let's start with the Sprinkles collection.
Yes.
Then. You started to introduce color with the Wild One, or get ambitious and playful with color with the Wild One.
Yes.
And then last year at Watches and Wonders, you surprised everyone because you took color to the next extreme. Almost summer carnival ice cream in its sprinkles. You've evolved the collection since then. Tell us a little bit about it.
Enjoy Life, the ice cream watch that we launched last year was a huge success. But I think the reason also it shows what we're actually doing is we're selling emotions in watches. And I know this is something that we hear a lot, but I think it really proves it again because Enjoy Life, the design of it, the ice cream, it was symbolic. We're not in the easiest times around the world. And I have 3 kids and I just had my 3rd kid, I think it was exactly in June 24. And that was also when we were working a bit on the new developments and dials. And I was just saying, it would be cool, for me, I just had such a joyful moment, but the world is a bit a crazy place. Let's try to do some designs that are fun. And who is great at fun things? Kids. So I go home and I'm like talking, what do kids love? And my wife quite quickly said ice creams. So I was like, okay. And Matteo had our designer, he had worked on a color scheme once that I remembered from the past that was exactly those colors. And I said to him, what was that chrono you once, that we didn't do? And he brought it back and we worked on it. And at the end, we realized this is our Ice Cream Enjoy Life summer watch. Positivity, bring something new. And that's what happened.
Would it be fair to say the response has surprised you a little bit as well over the last year?
Absolutely. I mean, of course, we're super happy, we're thankful, but it's just great to see that people around the world, and really it was in every market, it was sold out, we couldn't produce enough. And it was also that big decision for me to say, what is it? Of course, there's the charm of Enjoy Life and the positivity of it, but I think that's why we decided to stop it in January, was also that part of doing something daring, trying something different that people just loved. They just did an ice cream watch. Why didn't they do an ice cream watch? So I wanted to prove that if we stop it, this is like a challenge to ourselves, and proving also to our supporters, they won't get lazy. They will continue to innovate. They will continue to do stuff that is fun and surprise us. So this year, we of course discussed, and it seemed too easy to just say, let's do a different color code ice cream. Like, what could be fun? And suddenly the idea came up. We said, what if we add sprinkles? And we say, this is now the ice cream with the sprinkles on it. And you can see we did two versions. One, the strawberry, and then the blue raspberry, both with sprinkles. And if we just hit off the light quickly, I can show you something fun. We of course have loom on all the sprinkles. So it's really a fun watch. It brings a smile to your face, and you will see when you play with this. Again, kids are a very good measure of how fun this watch actually is, because they were one of the first to look at them when I brought the dials home.
So that is incredible. You've reactivated, or you've energized the inner child, but at the same time, there's a serious bit of kit under that. 62-hour power as well. This is a serious watch.
Yeah, this is a serious watch. It's I mean, for me, that's what's fun. It's a Freedom 60 from the past collection case with a very beautiful box type glass.
Yeah.
You can see that we have a really nice finish on the side. It's brushed and polished. We have 62-hour power reserve. We also have the Enjoy Life logo on the back with I think this time it's 7 colors. So every color needs its own little tooling, because they can't do different colors. You have to, for every color, set your own. So it's really a cool development. Always our dates are matching the color of the dial.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy that when it's not like that. So yeah, it's absolutely a serious watch, and we go totally into detail, but at the same time, it's also absolutely not a serious watch in terms of the way that we want people to enjoy it. It should be a daily reminder to just smile, have fun, be positive.
And there's a little bit of Easter egg in that date window as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So in case you forget to enjoy life, we made sure that every 7 days there's again an ice cream, this time with sprinkles on it, to remind you to enjoy life. And sometimes I get asked, Ben, what do I do between the 28th and the 1st? There are 2 ice creams within a week. I said, don't worry, you just eat 2 ice creams.
Something to buy for my gym trainer. That's
perfect,
for sure.
perfect. He will love it.
So let's transition to the X-Lite. The Wild One, as you've correctly pointed out, was a renaissance of sort for a fairly young brand. A realization, if you will, of a vision probably accelerated by COVID. How did you catch lightning in a bottle with the Wild One?
I remember when we launched the watch in Zermatt in September 2022, there was like press interviews the next day and many questions about what's next, right? And of course we pretended we knew, we didn't know yet. Our big focus was to launch this watch. And when they walked out, we spoke, and it was Jean-Claude, me, and at the time there was also Pascal Buchard, and very obviously came, well, the lighter Wild One. Like, if you could make it even more light, even more, because something we realized, the shock absorber, the way we have built it, it was really good with the top plate and the lower plate, and it great function in terms of, so the Wild One. But of course the rubber was quite heavy. And we were like, okay, we were looking a bit for weight, but then with that rubber, we were actually quite heavy. So we said, what if we redo it? But we're now in 226. So as you can imagine, it took us some time. And the reason was that we didn't manage to just use the Wild One and make it easier. We had to completely rebuild a wild one to make it this light. It's 45 grams, so it's super light. You can see, I'll give it to you just quickly to hold. You can maybe confirm for the camera.
That is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous.
You don't even feel it.
You don't realize it till you actually hold it, how light that watch is. Let's talk about the X-Lite then. This is the only piece in the room.
Yeah, it's the only piece here. It's so these are prototypes. Deliveries start in July, but they're fully functional, and we will be at the 45 gram case with Velcro flex, and with this rubber strap we'll be at 48 grams. So we'll have 2 strap options also. It's more for the athletes. They appreciate. Stan Wawrinka, for example, told us that he likes to play with a Velcro because if it's hot, he can adapt a bit better. So that was a bit the idea behind that. Otherwise, also our new movement in there. It's the 4K movement. You can see that we now also have the mountain top, and there we're now also increasing to 62 hours power reserve, which is great. I think it gives us another a full day of power reserve versus the prior skeleton watches. And in total, it's a 49-piece component case. So, and we had 19 toolings to develop it. So the time it took us obviously is linked to a really complex development. We're very proud. There will only be 200 pieces this year produced globally. So it's still a small production, but we're really, of course, trying our best to make sure that next year we can bring out a new edition and then hopefully increase a bit our production.
So I was going to say, no points for guessing. This journey continues with the X-Lite.
This is a good start.
So let's talk about this ambition to be tougher, lighter, more agile, but still with serious horology sitting at the heart of the watch. In a way, the ethos of the brand, in a way representative of your vision on where the brand goes. How much is too much? Is the next battle to get to 40 grams? What is the next mountain to climb?
The too much doesn't exist. There will be failures and you have to accept it. That's part of being, when at that moment when you decide we want to challenge, then sometimes we will do something and we will get the feedback that this will, and if you don't think that can happen, then you're not going to win. You need to take risks and you need to accept that you might once get a negative feedback. And I also tell my team always, I say, listen, we need to be positive, and if we once see that we will not have a successful launch, something that we thought was great that people don't agree, that doesn't mean that it was wrong. It means that we tried.
Let's talk about the shock resistance before we move to the chronos. Why?
Well, because they want to wear it on tennis courts and they're challenging me and say, Ben, they want to play golf with it and they want to. So yeah, I mean, Stan's a great example. He's coming here tomorrow and he hasn't seen it yet in real, but he was a big part of pushing in terms of white. So what happened with Stan is he played the Australian Open with a Wild 142. And for the first time, it was super hot. He was hot and he gave me that feedback. He said, listen, Ben, I love this watch. I've been wearing it everywhere. But today, for the first time, I didn't play with my Wild One. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, why? And he said, it was just, I don't know, it was so humid. So I would have adapted the strap, but it was always not completely right. So that kind of feedback goes in there. And I think that's at the end what makes NORQAIN special is we have these athletes at the core of our brand. They define also. And if it's good enough for a 4-time Grand Slam champion playing with the watch, then it's good enough, I think, for a Saturday mountain bike tour or some cool other adventure. And that's how we think of the watch.
So I know you're an avid runner, because I'm an avid runner, and we've spoken about this off camera.
You're a better runner, but...
Well, I'm an older runner, let's put it that way. As you can imagine, as an athlete, not Stan, but as athletes, that adaptability of what you love mechanically, making it into your modern lifestyle is incredibly inspiring and incredibly motivating. Is that part of your journey, and is that part of the journey the brand is working towards, making horology and high horology relevant to modern life?
Yeah, I think it's very well put. I was often asked in the beginning, will you go into smart? No, because people are much better at doing that than we are. If you look at what Whoop has managed to do, if you look at what Apple delivers with their Apple Watch, we can't compete. And I want to, if we produce products, I'm still a very I believe traditionally that the best product is what is very important to be successful. And if we can deliver a fantastic product, mechanical product, and we know that we're innovative, we work with the best suppliers in Switzerland, suppliers that very few people have access to, and that we can manage to deliver things into the market that other brands are not doing, then that gives you an edge. And you say, hey, that's something we offer, that's different, we can't do that in other space. But we combine through that in our way, in our traditional way of Swiss watchmaking, we want to connect with the modern world.
Let's use this as a question to transition into the Wild One Chrono. If there was a complication for the modern world that you'd like to invent for mechanical watchmaking, crystal ball, magic wand, what have you, what would it be?
I think, again, if mechanically, we're an outdoor brand, we're a Swiss brand, we're inspired by mountains. You see here the ski station, the mountains, the chalet. If we could really have a fully, perfectly functional altimeter chronograph complication, that would be, for me, a dream. And now, you know how difficult that is because very few brands have touched on it. Those who've touched on it, I think they've always had complications in the accuracy.
Sure.
And for me, that's the problem. It has to be, and so it's a dream.
Very interesting. So let's speak about a complication you have cracked, the flyback chronograph.
Yes.
Tell us about the Wild One Chrono.
Well, I'll start with, we have three editions. I'll start with the one that's not limited, but this year we have a total production for all the Wild One Chronos of 1,000 movements. So that will determine where we're going anyway. So this year we have 500 pieces in production of this beautiful black Nortec with the turquoise. So we have turquoise details, a pulsometer, that's new. We put Wild One above 200 because if your pulse is above 200, you're dangerously wild.
Yeah.
And also we have very interesting 42 millimeter case. So we managed to keep the case at 42. I hope you agree, but on the wrist, it really hugs the wrist perfectly.
Well, my wrists are a little more dainty than the average person, but
there you go. And we really wanted it to be, a watch that can be worn with bigger and smaller wrists. And then we did this burgundy edition with our, this is the world premiere burgundy material that we launched back in 2022.
Which really exploded the collection to begin with.
Yeah,
right?
This was really what people loved because it's different and you see it again. It's just not really a color you see.
Yeah.
And that comes from this special way we are actually doing this dyeing of the carbon fibers in the mass. So it's always going to be dark. So when we looked for red, this is what came out. At the time, I said that we were actually looking for a red color.
I remember you saying it was an accident, but it was a happy accident.
Great accident. And as soon as we saw it, we were all super happy. And this is 2022. And now you can see we have the Nortec pushers, which I really am happy with it. So the flyback chronograph function is indicated on flying discs, which is great. So we drop the chronograph hands versus the independence, and we now have rotating discs. So the chronograph and the second hand at the 6 o'clock, they are rotating on discs.
Very cool.
We did one very special edition, which is a red gold edition, just 75 pieces, gray, red gold. Here again you have the gold fillet that goes around the discs. So just to give it that little extra edge, you have the pulsometer, Wild One in gold, and also something that I'll show you on this edition, but that we didn't look here, is the huge opening. We wanted this movement to be very visible, as it's a movement we're very proud about, to have a flyback chrono in the collection, and you can see the big mountain.
Thank you, Ben. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.